Cam Akers need not be confused anymore. The Rams simply don't want him. I don't think there's a hot seat for Brandon Staley just yet. We'll discuss. And until October, Clayton Kershaw is the Bigfoot of Major League Baseball. You'll rarely see him. Maybe he'll just be walking out in the woods. Who knows? Good morning. I'm James. This is your daily dose of sports and snark for the greatest sports city in the world, Los Angeles. This is the faithful Angelenos morning report. So it is September 19th, 2023. We have added a new subscriber to the Angeleno Familia last night. Thank you for getting in on the ground floor. It always means a lot. Meanwhile, if you like being in the know about LA sports, clickety-clack the like button. Clickety-clack the subscribe button. There's a notification bell. Hit that. It'll let you know we drop new content. Sharing is caring. Let people know we exist. And comment. There's always interesting stuff to talk about when it's LA. So before we go through the news and notes, a look at the scoreboard. Last night, JD Martinez homered twice against one of his former teams. And the NL West winning Dodgers defeated Detroit 8-3. It's the Dodgers' fourth win in a row. And Freddie Freeman stole his 20th base. Freddie Freeman steals bases. Who knew that? Meanwhile, Tigers pitcher Eduardo Rodriguez, you might remember him. He's the guy who turned down a trade to LA because he thought living in Detroit was like Shangri-La, better for his family. Left the game in the fourth inning with back spasms. Now, I didn't realize, I thought I do work in healthcare now. I didn't realize that the medical term for bad life choices is now back spasms. I didn't know. Feel free to enjoy the Detroit life there, pal. That's on you. Meanwhile, today, Detroit's at the Dodgers again. Ryan Yarbrough is 3-1 with a 3.08 ERA. Alex Fado is 2-5 with a 4.45 ERA. But we talked about this yesterday, about how just an hour maybe before kickoff, how the Rams decided that they were just going to keep Cam Akers out of the stadium. We still don't know why. We have this vague idea why, but we don't know for sure. Sean McVay told ESPN that the Rams are, quote, headed toward trading Cam Akers, unquote. And if that happens, I'll be honest, I'd be absolutely stunned because I just don't see where another team would want to give up an asset for him. I really don't. If running backs aren't even getting paid well, which was established all summer long, what do you think the market is for running backs who are on the outs with their own coaches, particularly Super Bowl winning coaches? They wanted to get rid of him last year, if you recall. They couldn't make a deal. That's why he came back. Now this time, McVay went a step further. The scribes asked if there was a scenario where Akers is actively playing for the Rams again. Quote, that won't be an opportunity, unquote. Which is the most passive-aggressive way I've ever heard, don't let the door hit you where the good Lord split you in my life. What a passive-aggressive way. Just say no. Leave it. There won't be an opportunity. Wow. And by the way, I'm perfectly aware of what happened to Nick Chubb over in Cleveland last night. I really am. But imagine the calls, and the Rams have been making calls, but imagine the way those calls go. It's going to be the same conversation. Hey, you need a running back. Are you interested in Cam Akers? Oh, you mean the guy who blasted out his Achilles? Yeah, that would be great. Oh, you mean the guy who nearly ended your Super Bowl run because he kept fumbling in Tampa Bay? That guy? Oh, boy, can't wait to give him. What about the guy who's never topped 800 yards rushing in a season? And what about the guy who doesn't like the most positive head coach in the NFL, Sean McVay? Yeah, what kind of a market does Cam Akers actually have? Why would any team trade for that when if you don't make a trade for him, the Rams will just cut him? And then you can just re-sign him for something super cheap. Why give up an asset when you can pick him up off the waiver wire? Now, McVay also responded to Akers' social media post about being, quote, confused as to why he wasn't active for Sunday's game. McVay told the press that he spoke not only with Akers, but with Akers' agent, both on Friday and Saturday. There's no confusion here. We also know from the Rams GM who spoke to Fox Sports during Sunday's game that Cam Akers simply was beaten out by his other running backs. In other words, he wasn't trying hard enough. He's out. If you bought the jersey, I'm sorry. It happens. LA ended a loss to the 49ers on Sunday with a field goal as time expired. Apparently, this pissed off legions of gambling addicts. Bottom line, there are two things in this world that I do not care about. A Trump-Biden rematch and the money losses for gambling addicts. Totally don't care. I don't. Tough luck. We've been talking about the most vital thing for the Rams this year, as is seeing how many of their 14 draft picks actually hit. How many of the 14 picks actually are legitimate contributors? Because that is key to the whole line that we heard during the summer. Oh, this isn't a rebuild, this is a remodel, right? So we know Puka Nacua is a hit. Absolutely. Here's the second hit. NFL Network analyst Brian Baldinger, who had a lengthy career on the offensive line, thinks LA has struck rookie gold, unquote, with guard Steve Avila. Baldinger posted clip after clip of Avila just crushing multiple 49ers defensive linemen while keeping his head simultaneously on a swivel to see if somebody over here needed help as well. He was all over the place. I don't know the last time that I saw a highlight reel for an offensive lineman. Steve Avila, or Avila, don't know how to pronounce it yet, that kid right now is the truth. The Rams hit on that pick. Baldinger made me a believer in this guy. So if you're looking at your Cam Akers jersey, and if you're like many frustrated football fans who get pissed at a player and look to burn the jersey, and you're in the market for a new one, consider Steve Avila. I want to revisit a comment I made yesterday about how instead of Van Jefferson becoming the Rams' top receiver over the injured Cooper Kupp, that both Nacua and Tutu Atwell pretty much rollerbladed right past the guy on Sunday. It's not just that Jefferson finished Sunday with only one reception, though. True Media reports that Jefferson has run 84 routes for the Rams this year, and he has only been targeted by Matthew Stafford 9 times. He's only had 9 attempts. And by the way, on Sunday, Jefferson dropped the first pass thrown his way. So is it likely that somewhere in Matthew Stafford's mind, he's asking, why am I going to this guy when Nacua keeps getting open? Just asking. Van Jefferson might be the next guy on his way out. Also from True Media, Rams defenders are simply missing too many tackles. Sunday, a Rams defender would make first contact on a Niners ball carrier, but not make the tackle 14 times. That was the fourth worst in the NFL in week 2. So LA, they're trying to play tougher. Give them that. They're just not finishing the play on defense. The knives are out for Brandon Staley over with the Chargers. So many knives, so much stabbing. It's like legions of Jack the Rippers all converging on wherever the Chargers practice. So many knives, you have to wonder like if it's Johnny Cash singing for Brandon Staley. I hurt myself today just to see if I still feel. Literally, like when that lousy DC Comics movie Suicide Squad and Jared Leto was playing the Joker and he was lying on the floor just luxuriating in how many knives he was surrounded by. That's only a tidbit of what's going on in Brandon Staley's lives like right now. Just legions of fans, hordes of sports writers, all demanding him to be decapitated and his head put on a silver platter. And I want to take a moment and ask you guys to lower your foils, your blades, your makeshift guillotines. He's not dead yet, and there's a reason. We have to repeat something we discussed last week. The Spanos family hates cutting severance checks. And Brandon Staley is under contract through the end of next season. They're not going to pay him for nothing through the end of next year. And besides that, Staley does have a respite coming up. The next two opponents, 0-2 Minnesota and the Raiders. If he is 0-4 going into a bye week, and then, of course, after the bye week, you've got the Cowboys and the Chiefs coming up, then yeah, I'll start listening to Brandon Staley having to collect unemployment checks then. Even if he's 1-3, considering the history of the Spanos family with head coaches, I would still bet they keep him. Just saying. 0-4, now you're talking. But the one thing I want to do at some point this week, I'm going to be honest with you, I didn't have the time after getting off the plane from a trip. I want to take a few minutes. It might be tomorrow, it might be the next day, it might be on Friday night. I want to break down the Staley defensive principles. And I think this matters for two reasons. One, those principles are being exploited now. They are. And two, the Rams defense was absolutely incredible with Brandon Staley at the helm. But have you noticed, we've talked about this, the Rams defense no longer plays the defense that Staley has employed. They're letting Raheem Morris call his own shots. Staley said there is no timetable for a return for running back Austin Eckler, which suggests to me that because of his ankle injury, he's probably out a month. Now, this is a guess. I'm not a doctor. Obviously, I haven't inspected the guy. But once Eckler was said to be having an ankle issue last week, I had a strong feeling that meant he wasn't playing in Tennessee. Again, not medical experience. I simply talk to a lot of athletes, and they will tell you that there are two types of ankle injuries. One keeps you out for 2 weeks. The other will keep you out for 4 weeks, close to a month. So you take that plus $5, maybe you can get a Whopper Jr. meal over at Burger King in today's economy. The Dodgers have pushed back Clayton Kershaw's next start to probably Saturday against the Giants. He pitched last Saturday against Seattle when the Dodgers clinched the NL West. Now, look, you're going to hear scribes talking about, oh my God, he's still injury prone. They're going to put him on the IL, stuff like that. I don't buy that for a moment. I'm simply not reading a lot into it. Yeah, it is a concern for an injury, but not because he is injured. It's because every Dodger pitcher this year has been dropping like flies. Do you really want to risk putting Clayton Kershaw out there every 5th day when you already know you're in the playoffs? Why risk it? For who? For what? On my weekend football preview show, Friday Night Chalk Talk, I like to tell you guys when I know for sure a team is going to win. Not a prediction, when it's a 100% certainty. And I am 100% assured USC is going to beat Arizona State this weekend. Now, how could I be so confident without even looking at anything from Arizona State? Glad you asked. It's because the top story regarding USC football yesterday was not the Trojans playing the Sun Devils. Oh, nobody cares about that. It's about how in 2 weeks, USC is going to play Colorado at 9 a.m. Colorado is not exactly East Coast. They adjusted the game because they wanted to make sure that they could put USC and Colorado in a prime position on Fox. You don't have to listen to me. You don't. I'll just tell you this. When everybody is saying, oh my God, to hell with Arizona State, when do they play Coach Prime? That tells you how little the entire nation thinks about Sun Devil football. The Trojans are going to win that game. Yesterday, I answered a post from the X account of a Galaxy podcast, the Squadcast. And if you are a Galaxy fan, I would recommend following them. It's a nice little podcast about the 5-time MLS Cup champs. They asked if people still believe the Galaxy can make the postseason. And I was like, of course they can. 5 points out. 7 matches to play. That's not too big of an ask. Only 2 MLS losses since June. Why not? But then I realized the Galaxy are tied for giving up the most goals in MLS at 45. AJ De La Garza is rolling over in his grave with that stat. But that just brings up another question for the other side. Are we sure that this win, just because it happens to be in a rivalry game, rightens the ship for LAFC? Yeah, I get it. I tend to believe too that you don't throw dirt on the champ. You don't bury the champ in a grave until somebody rips the belt from his hands. I don't deny that. But LAFC have had 3 losing streaks of at least 3 matches this year. Did El Tráfico actually tell us that much about the postseason odds for either team? I don't know. You tell me. The Lakers waive guard Bryce Hamilton before training camp begins. He played for the G League South Bay Lakers. Look, guys, the Lakers are super deep right now, even at guard. They even drafted one, Jalen Hood-Schifino, this summer. There simply isn't a role for Mr. Hamilton, so good luck elsewhere. But you let me know what you think in the comments thread. Tell me if there actually is a trade market for Cam Akers. Tell me if you think that Brandon Staley's performance has been so terrible that even the Spanos family is reconsidering. And if you enjoyed the content, don't forget to subscribe to Faithful Angelenos. We're talking LA sports every single day here. Thank you for watching. I'm James. We'll be back tomorrow. Faithful Angelenos is a Cam Corte El Queso production. Take care.